Of 4 presenters today. My name is Brian Butler. I work across a bunch of different areas, but primarily help educators, specialists, and other state personnel on their evaluations. So help to evaluate the programming, measure impact across the state, but also help folks with things like RFPs for grants or putting together proposals, designing programs, logic models, all those kinds of things. So yeah, sort of the entire lifespan of the a program, but focus primarily on kind of the evaluative part of it.
Was
Valerie,
you gonna?
Next?
Yeah, I'm Valerie Kohlwey. I'm in the learning and organizational development team. I'm the data integration developer, so I work with all our data kind of on the back end and help connect it and bring it out so it's usable. So you might be familiar with EET dashboards if you're an extension. And things like that in Tableau. I build reports in various systems. I'll give it to Stacy.
Great, thank you. Hi, I'm Stacy Cochran. I'm the communications program manager for the Knowledge Exchange, and I lead a team of creative professionals, writer, graphic designer, video director, and a handful of interns that help us with social media and marketing and some writing. And we develop some of the digital products that you'll find on the Knowledge Exchange website. Stories, videos, podcasts, some of the interactive, we had an interactive story where you can click on hotspots, the 360 tour of the controlled environment building that we did in collaboration with our fabulous tech team, which I'm joined by their manager, Katie.
Hi, everybody. I'm Katie Phillips. I'm the technologies program manager at the Knowledge Exchange. I lead a team of introverts, which consists of 2 developers, a GIS specialist, and myself, a data management person. We design a lot of the tools, the data visualization tools that you'll find on our website, including the one that we are showing off today. And I just wanted to put a shameless plug. If you have any kind of research data that you have questions about or like to see on the tool that we're going to show you today, please feel free to reach out to me.
Yes. Yeah. So we're the loud team and Katie's team is the quiet team. But it's great because we balance each other out. It's perfect. So if you aren't familiar with the Knowledge Exchange, I'll just do a quick little introduction. We are a support unit in the College of Food, Agricultural, and Environmental Sciences, CFAS, with all of you. And we help translate research and also make data more accessible through some of the tools that Katie was talking about with our data and decision tools. And we thought we'd start with a quick poll. I know we have our awesome, what's the most adventurous question, adventurous thing you've done? But we wanted to know what kind of data you use. So Katie's going to share the link. We have a, let me share my screen, Mentimeter poll. And there we go. So we want to know what kind of data you use in your job. And so go ahead and feel free to fill those out. And then we have a results page. Don't be shy. Here we go. Awesome. Anybody else use data? Oh, look at that. That's great. I tried to put in that I use cat data, but Katie told me that's not real. Aquaculture, very cool. County populations. Primary and word of mouth, awesome. Give you all a minute here. Everybody shared their data. A lot of qualitative census data, great. Like to see that. Awesome. All right, we'll check back on that at the end and see if we have some more data we can talk about. Look at that. So we are here today to talk to you about the Knowledge Explorer, which is a way that you can share some of this data that can be found on our tool. So first, I want to talk a little bit about, let me get this out of the way, a little bit about why we decided to build the Knowledge Explorer. And Katie, feel free to jump in as well. We wanted a way for people to be able to share a lot of the data that you can find on our website. So we have 3 specific tools right now, but we do have several other tools that we will be rolling in some of that data as well. But we know not everybody's a graphic designer. We know not everybody knows how to use R. And our tool also provides a branded output, so branded PDF that you can use. It has been approved by the BAT group at the college. And we do want to also remind you that we've spent months testing out this tool, but it is the first iteration. And with the thousands of variations possible from all the different tools and the different kinds of data that we're sharing, there's no way we would find every bug in this tool. So this is why we need your help. As you're using this tool, as you're trying things out, if you find a bug, please let us know. We have a handy little orange contact us button that you can see on any of our tools, any of our pages. Say, this is what I found. We know exactly where you're reporting from. So it will say, okay, you're on the community profiles tool and you found a strange bug when you were trying to share data to the Knowledge Explorer. So that's our, I know, Katie, you want to say anything else about first iteration tools?
Sure. So with this tool, the Knowledge Explorer, we have thousands and thousands and thousands of combinations of data that can be viewed, and you'll see that here shortly. So with all those many different combinations of data, mostly census data, some NAS data, some other various data sources, you can obviously expect, to see a couple of bugs or issues. We have some known bugs with the tool right now that we are actively working on fixing. But we're always interested in hearing about your experiences, what could possibly make this tool easier as we, start to develop the next iteration of the tool. So yeah.
Thank you. All right, so we're going to start with some Knowledge Explorer basics. We've got some terminology. We want to make sure everybody's on the same page about what it means. So your dashboard is what's going to be your report. So we call this whole page here your dashboard. Widgets are the data visualizations that you'll place on that dashboard to build your report. The widget controls are the areas where you can add widgets, create text widgets, and you can see what widgets are currently available. And on the layout, this is really important. We highly recommend that you determine which way you want your report to be in the end. Is it going to be landscape or portrait? Because once you start adding widgets to your report, it does not translate well if you switch the layout format. So that's key. All right, everybody cool on that? And if I'm going too fast, please just let me know. Going too slow, feel free to mention. Speed it up, please. Okay, Katie, this is your area. You're going to talk a little bit about how we use the data sets to build our reports.
Yeah, so the data that we have coming into the Knowledge Explorer comes from a couple of different tools that we previously built here at the Knowledge Exchange. The first one I'll talk very briefly about is our community profile tool. I saw a lot of you are interested in county populations data as well as city populations data. Our community profile tool would be a really great resource to check out, as it gives you information at the county level for the state of Ohio. So for example, you can click on any of the counties. We'll pick on Franklin County for now, and it'll populate with the data that we have available for that county from the census and from the NAS. So the census data that we're pulling is the American Community Survey 5-year estimates. We have data from 2018, 2020, and 2021. This tool will be updated each year when the data comes out. And the NAS data is all from 2017. So the latest survey for the NAS it's going out this year. I think it has already gone out actually. And those data will not be available until I think they said 2024, maybe 2025. It takes quite a bit of time for them to get that processed and available to us. So once those data do become available, we will pull them in via API and get the NAS data updated, because I know that is something that our researchers use quite a bit in the college. Another of our tools that we have data from is our Ohio Food System Map. These are all geospatial data. So if you're not a GIS expert, this is a really great way for you to visualize some of the publicly available data sources that we've pulled into the map. We have health data, economics data, obviously food data, and some transportation data within that map. And thank you, Stacy. And as you can see, we have different topical categories for the data that you can view pretty easily on this map. These data come from a variety of different sources. So you would just have to click on the information icon next to the data set, and that's going to give you some metadata about the data that you're currently viewing. Another tool that we have in the works right now that hopefully will be launching within the next year is our data catalog. So it'll be a catalog on our website where you can go and view all the different data that we have on our various different tools, along with the metadata assigned to that data, so you know exactly where it comes from, last time it was updated, the year, a little bit of information about the data, and so forth. The last thing I'm going to talk very briefly about is our eFields tool. So one of the really amazing projects that's happening in our college is the on-field trials data that's being collected year after year. What we did was we took that data and we visualized it using this data visualization here. So you can click on the different years worth of data and view different information. So you can change crops between corn and soybeans. You can have different trial types. You can change what's viewed on the X and Y axis, and you can even select by county for data that is available. This tool, the only way to pull these data into the Knowledge Explorer is to start on the eFields tool and then send the data that you're interested in to the Knowledge Explorer. It's a little different because we had to design it in a different way. We had to develop it in a different way, but we're working on a way to get that a little bit more integrated with the Knowledge Explorer. And the last thing I want to say is, particularly for the census data, if there's census data that you would love to see on our tools or integrated into our systems, just reach out to me and let me know. There are literally thousands of variables of census data that could be pulled into the tool. So if you're like, man, I really wish we had some information on grandparents with children living, you know, in their home, which we do. But if we didn't, I would be happy to help get some of that data into these tools. So yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Katie. So as Katie mentioned on the eFields tool, we have the Add to Explorer button on that specific window. But on all the other tools, you'll see next to data sets, let me go down here, you'll see this little icon, and that sends it to the cart feature. So let me add. So all of the data sets have the little feature, except for eFields. So I've shown you how that works. Then you check out from your cart and it sends it to, let me go back to eFields, sends it to the Knowledge Explorer. And then it opens a window for you and it starts your report building. All right. So any questions about the cart feature? Just like shopping, but shopping for data. All right, we're going to get into building. This is going to be the biggest part of our presentation because we'd really like to walk you through how to build a report. So if you can follow along with me, that would be great. I think, Katie, you're adding a link to the Knowledge Explorer tool so people can start their own report dashboard. So I'll give you a second to get that started. So there's several different ways that you can search for data on our tool. So this is our landing page. This is the tips and tricks area is great. So this is where I would probably add this video once we're done. But we'll get started with our own dashboard. And when you want to start adding data, we're going to say add widget. So on the pop-up menu, this is where all the different places that you can do to sort for data. we're going to search mortgage. So we're just going to type the word in the search bar. Okay, so now you see all the different options that you have. And we've got data, as Katie mentioned, from 2018 to 2021, depending on which tool, where it comes from. At the top of every widget, you can see that it's either a map or which tool it's from, sorry. We've got community profiles. We know that it's either a bar chart or a value chart, or it looks like since it's community profiles, there's no maps, that's only from the food system. And you can also see at the bottom of the widget, it's from community profiles, and it's got like the name of the where the data is coming from. So we're gonna pick, what do we decide to do? Mortgage status by age. Okay, 2021. All right, then you get a pop-up that asks what county you're trying to, you can either search or you can just type it in. I'm gonna pick Franklin because I'm in Franklin County right now. Okay, great. So you can see I've got that widget. I wanna add some more. Let's see. I'm going to search this time by type. So I wanna pick a value widget. So I can just click on that and it sorts all of the data by that kind of graph type. So I also want to make sure that I'm sticking with my theme here. I'm going to say median housing costs. And that narrows the field down. If you have more, if there's more than 4, you can see we have arrows, which will show you all the more data sets that you can pull from. But we're going to pick the 2021 data, median housing costs. And again, I'm going to stick with Franklin County and add that to my chart. So this is a value widget, it's just text. And then now we're going to add data. And I want something specifically from the food system map. I'd like a map. So I clicked that tool and then I'm searching for total, oh, that's the wrong one, sorry. Home ownership. So now we have our options here, 2021. And now I've got my map and my key, and we can move that over here. And one more widget we're going to do, I would like a line chart. I'm just trying to show you some of the different kinds of charts that are available too. And I also want, I'm going to choose from a group. So these are topical categories. And these are based on what is available in community profiles and on the Ohio food system map. So the same topical categories you see on those tools are in this drop-down menu. So I'm going to go down here and say, all right, I'm going to do housing. So now we're picking our 2021 data, click on it, same deal, Franklin County, and boom, we've populated our dashboard. Now, one thing I do want to show you on some of the mapping, on all the mapping widgets, there's a little toggle. So if I click on that, I can zoom in or zoom out of the map. I could focus on a certain area. Say I just wanted to show Northwest Ohio, or I wanted to zoom into the Columbus area because I'm in Franklin County. You can do that. And then you can click on that to lock the map. There's lots of fun different ways that you can edit. So you can move these widgets around. You just hold, click and drag, and it moves them. You can change sizing by, hello. I have a vertical mouse, people, and I keep clicking. I have done something. Katie, what did I do?
Try clicking off of it.
I am. Are you kidding me? I've never had this happen. What the heck? That's great. All right, there we go. I don't know what I've done. Oh my gosh. I hit the, yeah. No, it's going to be ridiculous. Okay. I'm going to delete this one. Of course, in front of everyone, I'm doing this. That's great. Okay. Let's just ignore that for now. So you can change the sizing on it. You can make it bigger. You can make it smaller. You can delete it. Yes, I do want to delete it. I'd like to delete this one. I'm going to delete this page and start over. Okay. I'm just going to pick a couple different kinds here. Go to community profiles and do that one. Franklin. All right. Sorry about that. That's crazy. Of course. And then here's a fun thing. You can add your own custom widgets. So this was going to be for homeowners, but we're going to make it. I can add a title. I can add some copy. And I wasn't going to type in front of you because I knew if I did that, I would make a mistake. You can change, you can make things bold, italic. It's got some of this typical editing tools that you'd find in any program. We're going to add a widget. Let's move these down. Sorry. Well, that's fun.
You've done something to your mouse, Stacy. That's what the issue is. I can see it on the screen.
I know. What the heck? It's the only mouse I have. All right. Well, I'm gonna take the battery out. Just give me a second. Talk amongst yourselves.
Quickly with the these widgets is you've noticed on the widgets you have the option to edit. If you were to click on that, you would see that you can edit the alt text for the widget, which is really nice because we want to make sure like accessibility is built into all of the tools that we create here at the Knowledge Exchange. So with these tools, as you can see here, she's selecting a different county and the alternative text populates automatically based on the widget that you are choosing, not with the add text widgets. Those ones you can update on your own. But it's really nice because when you go to export this as a PDF, which you'll see here in a few minutes, the alternative text stays with it, which makes those PDFs accessible, which is a really great feature.
Awesome. I think that took care of it, Katie. Thank you. All right. So as you can see, you can move, you can drag and drop these anywhere you want. You can change the sizing, put your key underneath or next to or wherever it makes sense. One other thing I'd like to show you on the widgets is, all right, let's say I'm going to put I want a map. I'm going to put another big map on here, but this isn't going to work. This is not working for me. So I'm going to put it on a different page. Oh, we should show that active layer too. So I'm going to add a page and then I can change which page it's on just by editing the widget. We want to talk about that additional layer too, Katie.
Sure. So another feature that we thought would be nice with our mapping component was there's some maybe times where you want to overlay data on top of one another to show, you know, what's going on. So what we did was if you choose a choropleth layer, which most of these are choropleth layers, you cannot overlay two choropleth layers because then the map gets too busy and it's really hard to see what's going on. However, if you wanted to overlay, you have here adjusted urban areas, which is a choropleth layer, and we wanted to look at community food banks. The community food banks is a point layer. So those are easily overlayable with one another. You can see here where these community food banks are in relation to some of these populated areas, which is really nice to see. You can see a lot of them are actually, they're showing up in the more populated areas, which you would assume.
Great, thank you. Okay. I think that's it. So also I want to mention in widget control, you can see what your current widgets are. So let's say you've got several pages on your report, you can see all the different widgets that you have in this list here. So that's helpful. Any questions about the widgets and widget controls? No, we're good. Okay. So now we're going to talk about adding a cover page and page titles for your report. So you'll see at the top of every page, you can enter a title. See, I knew it. Ohio. And then that every page is different because if you want to showcase something different, on every page, then you could have a different title. So it's super helpful. And then the cover page, you can put your title, housing report, and the subhead is helpful because you could put your programmatic area, you could put your county office info, you could anything that you want to put in there. And it also has your first name and your last name. I'm so glad it can auto-populate it for me with my password program. All right, subheading is Franklin County data. There we go. All right, so we submit that, and now you have your landing page. It's got a date, got the branding, everything that you need. All right, you can add more pages. You can either add a page at a time or you can add multiple pages at a time. Let's do that. We'll add 2 and you can see them populate here. So we can just scroll through them and see what's on each page. I do want to show you there's a trash can on this page. So, oh, look at, I added too many pages. I'm going to delete it. I will mention right now, it happens and it doesn't ask if you want it deleted. Like just double check that it wasn't by accident, but we are fixing that so that there will be a pop-up warning message. Are you sure you want to delete this page? And we can also reorder the pages. Let's say I don't like the order that they're in. Then you can say, I'm going to move 3 up because I think that has some better data. So let's move it here, and you confirm it, and then it moves it. So there's a lot of functionality in the controls of what you can put where you can put the widgets, you can fix the widgets, you can update them, you can add the alt text. Lots of cool stuff there. Any questions on that part?
Stacy, if you go back to the title page,
Yes.
One thing I wanted to mention. Oh no, like the actual cover
Oh,
page.
sorry. Okay.
No, you're fine. One thing I wanted to mention is if you look at the bottom of the cover page, you see this little information that says to view our data terms of use, go to that Go link. Basically, with all of the data that we have curated through the Knowledge Exchange, it's all publicly available S1 data. But to protect ourselves, to protect you, and to protect those that we pull the data from, we do have a statement on it for if anybody's interested in learning more or wanting to know what the stipulations are on the data.
Awesome. Thank you, Katie. Okay. Then I do want to talk a little bit about the menu bar. As you would expect, save dashboard means that you can save your dashboard. That's going to download a KXC file. We recommend that you save that somewhere, rename it into something that you know, so that you can find it again, because let's say you're not done working on it, you want to work on it later, you can save it and then you can load it again. So I have my dashboards folder here, and I'm going to load this folder. Okay, so load dashboard. I can go to my documents, find my dashboards, and then load our lovely housing demographics. Look at that one. That looks a lot better.
And something I will say is save often. One of the things that we will be improving eventually with the tool is right now, if you're building a dashboard and you decide to leave for a few hours and come back to it, if you refresh that page, it's going to reset everything that you just did. So we just suggest save often. When you save a dashboard, it downloads that .kxc file. It goes right to your downloads folder, so you can have multiple versions of it. And it doesn't take up a lot of space. They're pretty small.
Great, thank you.
And then
Another,
Stacy,
okay.
before you
Yes.
go, whenever you get done showing that part, Michelle asked if you can show again how to overlay maps.
Oh, sure. Yes, well, definitely. Okay. One handy feature is, all right, let's say that you really just want some of these data visualizations for your own report. You don't want to build it in Knowledge Explorer, and that's fine. We have a feature where you can just download all the images in your report, and you'll see that there's a downloading. Hello, that we get out of the way. There's a download bar, so you can see all of your widgets are downloading. Thank you, CFAS. Wi-Fi. Anytime. There's a lot of widgets in this one, so I'm sure it's going to take a while.
Yeah, this one will probably take a few minutes. You can see it's starting to go now. But yeah, once
Yep.
all of these widgets are downloaded, it saves them as .png files, and you can use them in any report that you're building. So if you're building just, you know, a regular old Word report, you can use these images in there.
Yep. And you'll see on every data visualization, the source for the data is listed on your widget. So you know that no matter where it is, that you'll know where it came from. All right, so you wanted to see the map overlay, correct? All right, sorry, we'll go to edit. So in this window, you can see this is your current layer. You can change it here if you want something different. But if you want to add an additional layer, so you do want to put a point layer on, then when you click select layer, you get a drop-down menu and you can choose from all of these options. If you've been in another tool, let's say you've been in the community profiles tool already, or in the, I'm sorry, the food map, and you know, okay, I'd like to see childcare centers. Great. I can go back here and I can start childcare centers. Perfect. Confirm, and then edit the widget. And then those should pop up on your.
It's a polygon layer, so it's not going to.
Oh, it's
Stacy.
not.
They're
Dang
two
it.
Coropleths.
Okay.
So yeah, you'll
Darn
get
it.
that lovely error message when you try to do two Coropleth layers at the same time, letting you know, like, oops, sorry, that's not an option.
That's exactly what I was trying to show, Katie. Perfect. All right, does that help? Wanted to see how to do that extra layer. Okay. All right, and then as usual, anybody that's used any program, export as PDF. Okay, I'd like to share this with someone. We put it together, we've made it look lovely. Then we're going to export the PDF. And then we have our, let me open this, so we don't have to wait. 1 second. What is with the Wi-Fi today? Dang it. And there you go. You've got your lovely housing demographics report. And now my computer's going to freak out. There we go. And you can see all the different widgets, data visualizations that we put on our report.
As you can see, like the more you play with it and the more you kind of fit everything together, you can make these reports really nice.
Lots of options for how to place your widgets and group them and everything. All right. Let me get out of this. Sorry. Lots of things to juggle here, people. Okay. Well, also, I can make this presentation available as well. So if people want to be able to scroll through it at your leisure, you can do that. Okay, so we're on our home stretch here, resources and future plans. So as I mentioned on the landing page for the Knowledge Explorer, we do have tips and tricks. We have some how-to videos. We have a complete walkthrough. So you'll say, prefer step-by-step guide, click here. Used a tool called Tango, so that tracks your movements on the screen. Highly recommend it. So you can download that and follow through if you want to do that instead. It shows you how to do do some things with layout and downloads. If you have any questions, they're all available on that tips and tricks page. And then Katie, do you want to mention some of our coming soon exciting opportunities?
Yeah, so I know templates are going to be huge. That's what you're going to use. Like, you know, if you're just thinking to yourself, I don't have time for this. I don't want to go through all of this and making it look good. Well, that's okay, because we're going to have some templates available to you where you can save these dashboards, download them and save them. And then when you go back to the report, all you have to do is load that dashboard. And you're probably thinking to yourself, well, Katie, this is all for Franklin County and I care about Adams County. That's fine. You can actually go to each of the widgets, click edit, and you can change the county from Franklin County to Adams County. Of course, it's not an option for this one, which that's another thing I should mention. If there is a county that just simply doesn't have that data, it will not show up as an option for you with some of these widgets. So as you can see now, we're changing it all to, I hope I say this right, Gallia? Sure. We're all changing it to that county and making it custom to you. So that's going to be a really wonderful option for you guys to have. And, you know, if you're making these dashboards yourself and you're like, you know, this is a really great one, I'm super proud of this, please send it to us because we will make it available for others to use too.
Yes, there's no
Gallia,
point
okay.
in Gallia, no point in duplicating your effort. If someone else has created a report, we're happy to share that. So, and that's part of what I think Brian and Valerie will be talking about, some of the ways you might use this tool.
Yeah.
I did also add a Knowledge Explorer tooltip to our monthly newsletter. So if there's anything you'd like me to include on that, I can add that in as well. But I know, Katie, you have some more data that we've been talking about.
Yeah, just a couple of other things. So we get requests pretty often for folks to help with viewing data, particularly geospatial data. We have 2 GIS experts on our team, myself and Wajiha, and we love creating GIS data or manipulating GIS data. It is our bread and butter. It is what we love to do. So sometimes we get requests for that type of data manipulation. And one of the most recent projects we worked on is the 4-H dashboard. And with that, it's looking at some 4-H data at different geographic levels in Ohio. Right now, the only geographic level that's available is the congressional district level, but we want to make it so that that data is also available to you to include in these reports. So yeah, this is our, oh, it looks like Wajiha accidentally saved that. That's okay. Anyways, so we want to make sure some of that data is available to you to include in these reports. So we're working on a way to integrate our geospatial data more easily, very similar to what we did with the food system map. So these data will not necessarily be available on the food system map, but they'll be available to you to use in your reports. We're working with other units, such as Brian and Valerie, to look at maybe including some historical data with these reports, but that's going to be more of a long-term project, and we really don't have a timeline on any of that right now. But yeah, like I said earlier, if there's some data that you really want to see, just reach out to me and I'd be more than happy to talk with you.
Thank you. And we also have a survey. So as we mentioned, we really would love to get your feedback once you've played around with the tool. If you have questions, if you have comments, there's things you feel like would be really great if you could incorporate this in the tool, please feel free to answer that survey and give us some feedback on the tool, or connect with us through the website on the contact us button that you'll find on every page. And as we mentioned before, if you find a report that you built that you feel like would be helpful for others, please share that with us. I've included our email address, so you can do that. That's it. That's our presentation. Katie, as she mentioned in the beginning, is our technologies manager. So if you need to know anything more technical about the tool or about data, I would reach out to her. I am creating the how-tos and the videos for the tool, and I'll be adding templates as well. So feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. And that's it. Brian, Valerie, take it away.
Yeah, great. Thanks, guys. Yes, as they mentioned, they got LOD involved for a lot of different reasons, but I think primarily because we are the keepers of a lot of data, right? So we are, we have a lot of historical data, obviously, that people have been submitting through evaluations and through things like VEDA, obviously, and RIB before that. And so, yeah, using some of that data to be able to access, as well as anything that we collect sort of from here on out, hence Valerie's participation in this initiative. So yeah, as stuff comes in through CART, as stuff comes in through any future system, we are thinking, hoping, predicting that it'll be available to you. So in addition to pulling all this great secondary data from the census and NAS and other places, you could also bring in, let's say, your own data, evaluation data from your own surveys, for example, in your own county from classes that you taught. How great would that be, showing that side by side with secondary data? So Maybe the secondary data can kind of show a need in your community based on demographics or based on economics. And then you had a program to address that. And then you could show your evaluation data from your program, how many people you talked to, how many folks you educated, how much change you made, to really make it as impactful as possible. Anything else on that, Valerie? Or should I just, if you want to interject, feel free to.
No, you can go ahead.
Cool. All right, let's, so this is where I get to, talk. So I got to be the guinea pig for this project, essentially. So the idea here was that I wanted to take this new tool and try and envision how extension personnel might use it. So if you were an educator or a specialist or an office associate, program coordinator, anybody in any program area, how might you be able to use this? I guess with two main questions, many of you are probably asking right now, right, is how am I going to use this? How does it apply to me? And that all looked really confusing, and I don't think I can do that because it looks too complicated. So I'm hoping to address both of those concerns and show you that it's super useful, even with the data that's in it right now, and really very, very easy to use. So I made a few scenarios, envisioning how it might be helpful to anybody watching this. And I had a few guidelines that I set up for myself before I started. So, I wanted to be useful or applicable to extension in really any area. I kind of tended to think about this as a data exploration for like the early part of a project. So if you have an idea, or you have a task force, or you have an advisory council who have ideas on what to do for programming, for example, or interventions, this might be useful to you. I also wanted anybody with little to no experience in using the Data Explorer to be able to do this. And so I consciously literally didn't watch any tutorials or anything. I just started playing with it and came up with some good results, I think. I focused a bit on the geospatial mapping stuff because I wanted to kind of show statewide possibilities, and that's kind of what I like. And then, as was mentioned earlier, I love ArcGIS. I love using Tableau to show maps, but not everybody does, not everybody can. So I wanted to make this kind of a geospatial sort of process without having to know those kinds of skills. And it was super easy. All right, so with that, 3 scenarios that I thought kind of came to me that might resonate with some of you. So again, these are things I made up, but they are very much grounded in what I see in extension. I see lots of ideas come to fruition, and I wanted to sort of think about what some of those ideas might be and how you could use this tool to explore some of your ideas. So some of these might hit perfectly for you, but hopefully everybody listening to this can kind of see how it might be helpful, or their project might be similar to some of these projects. So let's say theoretically there's a new statewide team, kind of a collaboration between 4-H and FCS. And they want to start a program working with urban families where you have kids living with their grandparents. So let's say you want to provide some after school activities or activities in a childcare center, or some mentoring activities between the grandparents. Who knows, but that's kind of the target demographic. You're also looking to work with both preschool age kids and also kids maybe 6 and older who are in elementary school. So a few questions that might come up, are there even enough children in this situation to sort of merit a program? Is the issue large enough to need an intervention? And sort of what area of the state, what kind of urban area, which urban area might you focus on? So I just literally opened up the tool and started pulling in widgets, searching mostly census data in this case, right? So so within probably 10 minutes, I had these widgets pulled in and the sheet put together. So really, I wanted to see about the population, and I focused on Cuyahoga and Franklin County. So you can see over on the left there, in Cuyahoga, you have quite a few kids who are living with their grandparents in Cuyahoga County, and the vast majority of those kids are under 6 years old. Whereas if you look at Franklin County, You have also a large number of kids under 6 years old, but you also have a lot of school-age kids living with grandparents, way more than you do in Cuyahoga. So for example, if I was on this team, I might say, hey, wait a minute, maybe we should focus our preschool efforts in Cuyahoga and our school-age efforts in Franklin County, right? Whereas if you didn't have this data available to you, you might not come to that conclusion, and you might maybe misallocate resources. I also wanted to look at kind of how many childcare centers there are and kind of where they are in these urban areas. So just a real quick map of childcare centers. So Cleveland, obviously in Cuyahoga County, you've got a lot. Same with Franklin County. But it also looks like in sort of around Cuyahoga, in counties like Elyria, for example, you're also going to have a larger number than you do in the maybe surrounding counties in Central Ohio. So things like, obviously Delaware has a large population center, a lot of childcare centers in Delaware, but in places like Madison County and places around Franklin, you might not have as many. So this kind of, to me, maybe strengthens the case to focus on childcare centers and preschool kids in Cuyahoga County, and maybe have kind of a school-based program in Central Ohio. And again, this is the first step, right? So the next step would be to go and get more data on these things, more data on schools, more data on kids and who they're living with, to help to maybe fine-tune your proposal. All right, that was scenario one. If anybody has any suggestions or ideas, feel free to chime in, because these, again, were just sort of things that I came up with. All right, next one. Let's say our diabetes education folks here in Extension are going to partner with the group that runs the food banks in Ohio and submit a proposal for funding to USDA. And the idea here is that they want to offer some education on healthy eating to families that are at high risk for food insecurity. So you could see maybe also partners like FNEP, partners like SNAP-Ed, maybe being involved in this initiative as well. So again, some questions. The funding is good, but it's not extensive, at least in the first couple of years. So you'll only be able to target a few counties. So where should you look to get things started? And a big question that always comes up for me in these situations is, would you address an area with really, really high levels of food insecurity with lots of challenges and risk not making an impact because the challenge is so big? Or would you choose an area with lower levels of food insecurity where maybe you have a better chance of making a change, but you might also risk not making an impact because maybe the need isn't quite big enough, if that makes any sense? So again, I spent about, I don't know, 5-10 minutes in this case, pulling in two maps. One is prevalence of diabetes by county, and one is this measure of food insecurity by county. And immediately you can see some parallels between these two maps, correct? So the sort of idea, this kind of center around sort of Southern Ohio, Southeast Ohio really comes to the forefront. So you have obviously higher levels of diabetes prevalence in those counties, and you also have really the highest levels of food insecurity in Ohio occur in sort of the lower half of the state, right? So you begin to look at these counties, Scioto and Washington, and maybe Athens and Meigs, and these places where there's a high prevalence of diabetes and a lot of food insecurity as maybe where you make your case, right? So from here, you might go onto the ground and interview some folks who work in the communities. Obviously, use your extension personnel in those communities as well. SNAP-Ed, FNEP, anybody doing education, nutrition stuff in the area. Talk to the food banks in the area and really find out about the feasibility of a project. But this at least gets you started, right? This at least gives you an idea maybe where to focus your proposal on. Because USDA will want to see this kind of stuff, and this strengthens your argument and it strengthens your proposal for funding for sure. All right, last one. And again, I know some of this work's already been done, but I wanted to use an ag example. I don't know much about ag other than craft beer ingredients, so that's where I went. So collaboration here between craft brewers and A&R folks. To kind of look at where things like barley, hops, and rye are being grown in the state, and promote those products, promote the increase in growing of those products, and maybe find a way to grow those products close to each other to minimize perhaps processing and shipping or transportation to breweries, right? So we're asking things like, what area of the state are these things being grown? where might it benefit us to increase those situations, and could we concentrate those things in one area or in hubs around the state, for example, right? So again, just pulling in three maps. This was mentioned earlier, but getting updated data in this area will be super critical. So hopefully by next year, we'll have updated data, because again, these are a bit outdated and a lot of work's been done in this area, particularly in hops production by our colleagues here in Extension. So yes, looking at rye and barley, it looks like there's a really nice concentration of those products being grown in kind of Northeast Ohio, particularly Wayne County, if I had to guess, and sort of up near Northeast Ohio, up near the Cleveland area. Whereas hops production at this point, 6 years ago, was primarily centered in Southwest Ohio. That's definitely changed since then, but you can begin to kind of see, all right, well, if there's already barley and rye up in Northeast Ohio, is it feasible to increase hops production in that area? Does the climate permit that? Does the infrastructure permit that? Is there expertise in the area? Do we look to bring some rye or barley production down south to kind of marry up with hops production? Is that even possible, or is that not within the realm of possibility? So this is where your data folks and your mapping folks have to have conversations with your experts on the subject, of course. So, but I wanted to put an ag example in. So something like this would be, again, these maps exist for sort of lots of different products, yields and geography, and really, again, the reason I sort of focused on a couple scenarios and I focused on maps was because the universe of widgets is vast. So if you know what you're looking for, that's great, and you're really able to search for those things and find them very, very easily. So. All right. So as a kind of a wrap up for me, again, super easy. I did all this really in minutes just to kind of get a sense of what the tool was capable of, and really enjoyed kind of diving into it and exploring it. So, and again, that took me no time at all. So if I was doing a proposal, if I was writing an RFP, if I was looking for funding or for shareholders or stakeholders, your time is very well spent doing that with this tool, because you can do it really quickly and really, really easily. So, all right. Anyway, I just talked for a while. So if there's any questions, please shoot them my way.
All right. Is there anything else, Stacy or Brian, that you would like to, or Katie, since you're still on, if you'd like to say before we close out?
I think just reiterate that we really would appreciate any feedback. If you find anything that's wonky, please let us know, because then we can fix it so no one else has to deal with it. And as Katie had mentioned, we are continuously improving the tool. So if it's something we haven't thought of, but you've shared an idea with us, we're happy to work on making it the best tool possible to help you in your work.
Awesome. I think the tool looks pretty cool. Oh, go ahead, Valerie.
Sorry. Just wanted to add, I know Brian mentioned it earlier, but we're thinking about what kind of internal data we have that would be useful in this tool. So as you look at it, if you think about things kind of like the 4-H program data, if there's other programmatic or evaluation data that we're gathering, especially stuff that goes through CART, VITA, the centralized systems, let us know. And we're working on the technological side to think about how that can happen going forward.
Awesome. And then there is a link to a Qualtrics survey that Katie put in the chat. Please take a look at that and give that feedback. And then I also will include it in the email to all the registrants as well. And then we will include their presentation from both Stacy and Brian. And then this video is recorded, so it will be posted on our LOD YouTube page, and then also Knowledge Exchange will use it on their website. So again, thank you guys for joining today. I hope you got some good, useful information. Hope you're excited about using this tool. It looks like it's very easy and straightforward, and it seems like it could be utilized across all areas within Extension. So have a wonderful Wednesday evening or afternoon, and we'll see you in June for our next Wise on Wednesday.
Thank you all.